Ahmadine sat in his small hut, staring at the dim light of the lamp on the table. His face was filled with worry, and his hands rested heavily on his knees. He shook his head, muttering to himself. "Every year, my brother Maxwell's sons come to the village," he began, his voice bitter. "Every year they arrive from the city with their big cars and fancy clothes. They bring bread and wine as if that is enough. Bread and wine, is that all my family is worth to them?" The room was silent, except for the soft crackling of the lamp's flame. Ahmadine's anger simmered as memories of past years flooded his mind. "They promised me, didn't they?" he continued, his voice growing louder. "Jerry and Divine said they would help my boys, John and James, find their footing in the city, but instead they leave us to suffer. They show off their wealth and mock us. My own brother Maxwell doesn't care. He doesn't even tell his sons to help. Instead, they look down on us, as if we are beneath them." Ahmadine stood up and began pacing the small room. His words came out like fire. "This year will be different," he declared. "I have had enough of their lies. If they will not help my sons, then they will not come to this village alive. I will go to Baba, the medicine man. He will know what to do. They think they are untouchable, but they will learn that even city men bleed like everyone else." He stopped pacing and sank back into his wooden chair. His mind was clouded with bitterness. He thought of his sons, John and James, who had tried to seek help from their cousins. "Cousins, show us the way," his sons had begged. "Teach us how to work and make money like you." But Jerry and Divine would shrug dismissively, saying, "It's not that easy," before driving off in their shiny cars, leaving behind nothing but the faint smell of petrol and their empty promises. Ahmadine clenched his fists, his nails digging into his palms. "They think they are smarter than everyone else," he said, "but I will show them. This year they will not come to this village alive." The next morning Ahmadine rose early. He told his wife he was heading to the farm, but instead he set off for Baba's hut, deep in the forest. The narrow path to the hut was covered in overgrown weeds, and the air was thick with the smell of damp earth. Birds chirped in the distance, but Ahmadine paid no attention. His heart pounded as he approached the small thatched hut at the edge of the forest. Baba was sitting outside, grinding herbs with a stone. He looked up as Ahmadine approached, his face unreadable. "Ahmadine," Baba greeted him, "what brings you to my hut so early?" Ahmadine knelt before the old man, lowering his head. "Baba, I need your help. My brother's sons have mocked my family for too long. They promised to help us, but they never did. They treat us like we are nothing. I want you to make sure they don't leave this village alive the next time they come." Baba studied him for a long moment before speaking. "Ahmadine, you speak with anger. Do you know the price of what you are asking for? To take a life, no, 2 lives, requires a heavy sacrifice." "I don't care about the price, Baba," Ahmadine said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I just want justice. They have hurt my family for the last time." Baba sighed and motioned for Ahmadine to follow him inside. The air in the hut was thick with the smell of burning herbs and smoke. Strange charms and masks hung on the walls, and a calabash filled with cowrie shells sat on the table. Baba picked up the calabash and shook it gently. The shells rattled inside. He closed his eyes and chanted softly. After a moment, he opened his eyes and looked at Ahmadine. "Jerry's spirit is weak," Baba said, his voice low. "He is careless and easily distracted. But Divine, his spirit is strong. He is protected by Almighty God. Taking his life will not be easy." Ahmadine frowned. "I don't care how strong Divine's spirit is. I want both of them gone. I don't want to see their faces in this village again." Baba smiled faintly. "There is a way," he said. "Divine has been single for a long time, hasn't he? Your brother Maxwell and his wife have been pressuring him to marry, but he refuses every woman they suggest." Ahmadine nodded. "Yes, Baba. Maxwell and his wife are always complaining about it. They want him to settle down, but he doesn't listen." Baba chuckled. "That stubbornness will be his downfall. I will send one of my daughters to Divine. She is beautiful, irresistible. No man can say no to her. Divine will fall in love with her, and through her I will destroy him." Ahmadine's face lit up. "That is a brilliant plan, Baba. Maxwell's family will finally feel the pain they have caused me." But Baba raised a finger. "There is one condition," he said. "To carry out this plan, you must make a sacrifice." Ahmadine frowned. "What kind of sacrifice, Baba? I am ready to give you anything." Baba's gaze grew cold. "You must give me one of your son's manhood." Ahmadine froze, his breath catching in his throat. "No, Baba," he said after a long silence. "Please take mine instead. I am the one asking for this. Leave my sons out of it." Baba shook his head. "The spirits have spoken. It must be one of your sons. If you are not willing to make this sacrifice, then leave my hut and forget about revenge." Ahmadine felt a sharp pain in his chest. His sons, John and James, were his pride and joy. How could he do this to them? But then he thought of the humiliation he had suffered at the hands of Maxwell's sons. He remembered their mocking smiles and empty promises. "I will do it," Ahmadine said finally, his voice trembling. "But my sons must never know." Baba nodded, a sly smile playing on his lips. "Very well, Ahmadine. The spirits will have their sacrifice, and you will have your revenge. But remember, every action has a price. Be prepared to pay it." As Ahmadine left Baba's hut, his heart was heavy with guilt. He knew he had crossed a line he could never uncross, but in his mind, one thought burned brighter than all the rest. Maxwell's sons would finally pay for their arrogance, no matter the cost. In the city, Jerry came to visit Divine in preparation for their trip to the village for Christmas. The brothers were excited about the upcoming holiday, but Jerry couldn't help but tease his younger brother. "Divine, you know Mum and Dad won't let you rest when we get to the village," Jerry said with a smile. "They're going to pressure you about getting married just like they did to me. They will remind you that you're the only one left and start asking when you're going to settle down." Divine laughed but shook his head. "I'm not like you, Jerry. I'm waiting for God to show me the right person. I'm not in a hurry to settle for anything less." Jerry chuckled, leaning back in his chair. "You and your God again. Does he always have an answer for everything? Sometimes I think you talk about him so much, I wonder if he's real." Divine's face grew serious, and he looked at his brother with a kind yet firm expression. "Be careful, Jerry. God is watching you. Mind how you speak about him. You might not believe, but I know he's real. As for me, I will continue to serve him, no matter what." Jerry rolled his eyes, clearly uninterested. "Sorry, bro, but I just don't believe in all that stuff. God doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned." Divine stood up, his voice calm but strong. "That's your choice, Jerry. But for me, I will trust in God's plan. One day you will understand." With a sigh, Divine grabbed his car key and turned to Jerry. "I'm going to the supermarket to pick up a few things for the family in the village. I will be back soon, so don't go anywhere." Jerry waved him off with a relaxed smile. "All right, take your time. I'll be here, just waiting for you." As Divine left to run his errand, Jerry remained behind, thinking about the conversation. He still didn't believe in Divine's God, but there was something about the way his brother spoke, so calm, so sure of his faith, that made him wonder, even if only for a moment, if there was more to life than he had believed. However, Jerry quickly pushed the thought away, not ready to question everything he had known. While Divine was shopping at the supermarket, picking out some things for the family in the village, he was focused on his task when he heard a soft voice behind him. "Excuse me, sir. Please, I need your help," a young woman's voice said. Divine turned around, a little surprised. There stood a young woman, looking lost and anxious. She was holding a small bag in her hand, and her clothes seemed worn, as though she had been through a rough time. "How can I help you?" he asked, a bit surprised by the stranger's sudden appearance. The woman hesitated, then took a deep breath. "My name is Samantha. I'm an orphan, and I have nowhere to go. I'm in a terrible situation. Last night I was attacked by some men in an unfinished building. They took advantage of me." Her voice trembled as she spoke, and her eyes filled with tears. Divine's heart sank when he heard her story. He was always compassionate toward others, especially those in need. "That's terrible," he said. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" Samantha nodded, wiping her eyes. "I don't have a place to stay, sir. I'm too scared to go back to the streets, but I don't know anyone here. Please, can you help me? I just need a safe place to stay, even for a little while. I promise I won't be any trouble." Divine looked at her, feeling the weight of her words. He wasn't sure what to do, but he knew he couldn't just ignore her. As a Christian, he believed in helping those who were suffering. "I'm actually traveling to the village for Christmas with my brother," Divine said kindly. "But I can't just leave you out here like this. You can stay at my place until I return. But I must be clear. When I come back, you will need to leave. I can't have anyone staying with me permanently." Divine nodded, still unsure but trusting his instincts. "Okay, let's go to my place now, and I will show you where you can stay while I'm away." When they arrived at Divine's home, he led her inside and showed her to the guest room. It wasn't the biggest room, but it was cozy and clean. "This will be your room while I'm gone," Divine said. "I will leave some food and water here for you. But remember, you will need to leave when I return. I can't have anyone staying here permanently." Samantha nodded quickly, overwhelmed by his kindness. "I understand. I will leave as soon as you return. Thank you so much, sir." He gave her a small, reassuring smile. "Take care of yourself and I will be back soon. Just try to relax." When Divine entered the living room, Jerry was sitting on the couch, tapping his foot impatiently. His arms were crossed and his eyes were fixed on his brother, waiting for an explanation. "Divine, who was that girl you just brought home with you?" Jerry asked, his tone a mix of confusion and suspicion. "I thought you don't do the crazy things I do. What's going on here?" Divine paused for a moment, knowing this conversation wasn't going to be easy. He had to explain himself without causing more tension. He took a deep breath before answering. "Her name is Samantha. I met her at the supermarket. She's an orphan, and she has nowhere to go. She said she was attacked last night in an unfinished building by some men. She's been through a lot, Jerry." Jerry's eyebrows shot up. "Wait, what? You just let a total stranger come home with you? Are you crazy? How do you know she's not lying? You don't even know her. And now she's in your guest room." Divine stood his ground, trying to stay composed. "I know it sounds strange, but I couldn't leave her out there. She was scared, Jerry. She had nowhere else to go. As a Christian, I couldn't turn my back on her. I'm just trying to help." Jerry shook his head, clearly frustrated. "But Divine, that's the problem. You always trust people too easily. How do you know she's not playing you? You don't even know her story. She could be lying about everything." Divine frowned, his patience wearing thin. "I don't think she's lying, Jerry. She seemed genuine, and I can't just ignore someone in need. She promised she'd leave once we come back from the village. It's only for a few days. You're overthinking this. He'd said we should always help each others." Jerry scoffed, crossing his arms. "Oh, really? You trust her that much? Look at her. She doesn't even look like someone who's been attacked in an abandoned building. Her skin's too clean, too smooth. She doesn't fit the story. I don't trust her one bit." Divine took a deep breath, trying to keep his voice steady. "Jerry, don't talk about her like that. You don't know her situation, and don't talk about my God that way either. I believe I did the right thing by helping her. God would want me to show compassion." Jerry's frustration boiled over. "I don't care about your God right now. My gut is telling me there's something off about her. She's probably playing you, Divine. You're too trusting, and it's going to bite you in the end." Divine's eyes hardened. "I don't care what you think, Jerry. This is my house, and I've made my decision. She's staying here for a few days. I'm not asking for your approval, I'm just asking for respect. When we come back from the village, we'll figure out what to do next." Jerry's mouth twisted into a tight line, but he didn't argue further. He knew his brother was stubborn, and it was clear Divine wasn't going to change his mind. He just sighed and slumped back on the couch. "Fine," Jerry said, his voice tinged with annoyance. "But I'm telling you something's not right with her. Watch your back, Divine. I don't trust her, and I don't trust anyone who comes out of nowhere like that." Divine gave a small nod, though his expression showed he wasn't convinced. "I'll be careful, Jerry, but for now I've made my choice. Just trust me on this one." With that, Divine left the room, walking toward the guest room where Samantha was staying. That night, as Divine sat in his room, the soft glow of the lamp illuminated the pages of his Bible. He had been reading for some time, seeking peace and reflection before their long journey to the village. The quiet of the house surrounded him, and he felt a sense of calm as he read through the verses, praying silently for guidance. Suddenly there was a knock on the door, breaking the silence. Divine looked up, surprised. It was Samantha. Her face was pale and her eyes were wide with fear. "Sir, please," she said, her voice shaky. "I'm so scared. I keep thinking those men will come for me. I can't sleep." What if they find me? What if they do something terrible again? Divine looked at her, concern crossing his face. He could see the genuine fear in her eyes. He had never imagined that she would be so terrified. But at that moment, he knew she was vulnerable and in need of reassurance. Samantha, Divine said gently, standing up and walking towards her. Nothing is going to happen to you. You're safe here. I will protect you. Those men won't come near this house. I promise. Samantha nodded slowly, but the fear in her eyes didn't fade. She seemed desperate for comfort, as though her anxiety was overpowering her. After a moment, she spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. Please, sir, I'm so scared. Can I sleep in your room tonight? Just on the floor. I won't be any trouble. I just don't feel safe anywhere else. Divine hesitated. He had always tried to be kind and helpful, but he knew this was a tricky situation. He was a Christian, and he believed in helping others, but there was a fine line between helping and allowing someone to take advantage. He looked at Samantha again and saw how frightened she was. His heart softened, and he made a decision. All right, Samantha, you can sleep in my room for tonight, but only on the floor. You must promise me that nothing will happen beyond that, understood? Samantha nodded eagerly, her face lighting up with relief. Thank you, sir. I promise I won't cause any trouble. That night, Divine tried to sleep, but his mind was restless. He kept thinking about everything that had happened since he met Samantha. Despite the uneasy feeling in his chest, he tried to ignore it. The Bible verses he had read earlier seemed to offer little comfort now. His thoughts kept wandering back to his brother Jerry's warnings, but he told himself that he was just being kind, that God would guide him. In the middle of the night, Divine woke to the sound of movement in the room. He turned toward the noise, only to find Samantha sitting up on the floor, her eyes dark with something he hadn't seen before. She slowly got up and made her way toward his bed. Before Divine could react, she was standing next to him, leaning in close, her breath warm against his ear. Please, Divine, she whispered. I'm so lonely, and I can't sleep. I need comfort. I need someone to hold me. Divine froze, his heart racing. He could feel the heat of her body so close to his, but something in him recoiled. This wasn't right. He had seen enough, heard enough to know that this wasn't a simple request. His mind raced as he quickly realized what was happening. Samantha, Divine said firmly, his voice steady but stern. What you're doing is wrong. I told you before, this is not why you are here. I am not going to give in to what you're trying to do. You should never, in your life, try to seduce someone under any circumstances. This is not how you should be acting. Samantha's face fell, and she stepped back, a mixture of guilt and shame in her eyes. Divine's words stung, but he couldn't allow her to cross that line. He would not compromise his values, no matter the situation. Get some rest, Divine added, his voice softening, but still firm. I don't want to see this happen again. Samantha didn't respond, but she walked back to the floor, curling up in a corner. The silence between them hung heavy, and Divine lay back in his bed, wide awake. The incident troubled him deeply. He had done the right thing, he knew that, but it had shaken him to his core. The next morning, the day of their travel, Divine was already packed and ready to go. He was busy organizing his things when Samantha entered the living room, her face downcast. She had clearly been awake for some time, but Divine could see the guilt in her eyes. Sir, I'm so sorry, Samantha said, her voice low and sincere. I didn't mean to do what I did last night. I don't know what came over me. Please forgive me. Divine looked at her, but his expression remained unchanged. I can't continue like this, Samantha. I gave you a place to stay because I wanted to help you. But after what happened last night, I can't let you stay here anymore. You need to leave my house before I go to the village. Samantha's eyes widened in shock, and she took a step forward, pleading with him. No, please, don't do this. I'm really sorry. I was just scared. I didn't know what I was doing. Please let me stay. I promise I won't do anything like that again. Divine's face remained resolute. I'm sorry, but I can't trust you anymore. I tried to help you, but what happened last night crossed a line. I cannot allow this in my home, especially when I'm going to be away. Samantha's shoulders slumped in defeat. She looked like she was about to cry, but Divine didn't soften. He had made up his mind. Please pack your things and leave before I leave for the village. Samantha opened her mouth to say something, but then closed it. She looked at him one last time, a mixture of regret and bitterness on her face, before she turned and left the room. Samantha sat on the bed in the guest room, her face twisted with frustration. She pulled out a small mirror from her bag, and as she whispered strange words under her breath, the reflection in the mirror shifted. Instead of her own face, the wrinkled, sinister face of a native doctor appeared. His voice echoed through the room, chilling and commanding. "Why are you calling me, Samantha?" he asked, his tone sharp. "Baba, it didn't work," Samantha said, bowing her head. "This man's spirit is too strong. He wouldn't give in, no matter what I tried. He kept praying, and his faith is unshakable. I underestimated him." The native doctor's eyes narrowed, and a dark smile played on his lips. I see. You have done well, my daughter. You were the bait, and now I know his strength. He thinks he can escape, but no one defies me. I will deal with him myself." Samantha nodded, her expression a mixture of relief and fear. "Thank you, Baba. I will await your next instructions." The native doctor chuckled darkly, his face slowly fading from the mirror. "Leave now. Your part is done." With that, Samantha disappeared from the room, vanishing into thin air. Meanwhile, Divine had been waiting for Samantha to come out of the guest room. He wanted to ensure the door was locked before they left for the village. Minutes turned into hours, and there was no sign of her. Concerned, he finally walked to the guest room, calling her name. "Samantha, are you ready?" he asked as he knocked gently on the door. When there was no answer, he opened the door cautiously, only to find the room completely empty. The bed was untouched, and her belongings were gone. Divine's heart sank as a wave of unease washed over him. He searched the entire house, calling out her name, but it was as if she had never been there. Divine paused in the middle of the living room, his breathing heavy. "Lord, what is going on?" he whispered. He dropped to his knees and began to pray fervently, asking God for protection and clarity. As he prayed, a sense of peace began to fill his heart, and he thanked God for revealing the truth to him. "Thank you, Lord, for delivering me from whatever evil was at work here," Divine said aloud. He stood up, his resolve stronger than ever. Whatever Samantha's intentions had been, they had failed. As Divine stepped outside, he saw Jerry and his wife, Natasha, waiting by their car. Natasha was dressed in a glamorous outfit, wearing oversized sunglasses and scrolling through her phone. She was known for her love of parties, clubs, and anything that involved excitement. Divine could already sense trouble brewing. "Where have you been, bro?" Jerry asked, leaning against the car. "We've been waiting for you." "I was dealing with something," Divine replied, "but we need to pray before we leave." Natasha burst into laughter, removing her sunglasses to reveal her heavily made-up eyes. "Oh, please, Divine," she said, waving her hand dismissively. "We don't have time for that. Your parents are already waiting for us in the village." "Let's get going, darling." She turned to Jerry. "Come on, honey. Let's not waste time with your brother's religious nonsense." Jerry smiled, shaking his head. "See, Divine, this is why I always say you take this God thing too seriously. We don't need to pray. The gods of our forefathers are watching over us. That's enough for me." Divine's face hardened as he looked at his brother. "Jerry, you need to stop mocking God. He's the one who gives you breath. Without him, you are nothing." Jerry rolled his eyes, walking over to the trunk of the car and opening it. He gestured toward it mockingly. "Fine, if your God is so important to you, he can stay in the trunk of my car. I don't mind carrying him there while we drive." Natasha burst out laughing again, clapping her hands. "Oh, I love that idea. Yes, Divine, let your God ride in the trunk. We'll handle the rest, baby." She wrapped her arms around Jerry, leaning on him playfully. "Come on, let's go, honey. The party doesn't start until we get there." Divine's jaw tightened, but he held back his anger. He turned to Jerry, his voice steady but firm. "Jerry, one day you'll regret mocking God. I'm telling you now, before it's too late. And Natasha, I hope you realize that life isn't all about parties and clubs. There's more to living than this." Jerry waved him off, smiling. "Relax, my holier-than-thou brother. We'll meet in the village. Don't let your God make you late, okay?" Divine shook his head, watching as Jerry and Natasha got into their car. He stood there for a moment, lifting a silent prayer to God for their safety and salvation. As Jerry's car sped off, Divine muttered under his breath, "Lord, have mercy on them." He took one last look at his home before locking the door and heading toward his car. His heart was heavy, but his faith remained strong. As Jerry and Natasha continued down the road, the atmosphere in the car was light and filled with laughter. Natasha, completely lost in the excitement of the trip. She was dancing to the music playing through the speakers, her body moving in rhythm. "I can't wait to get to the village," she exclaimed, her face glowing. "I miss the food there. Nothing beats the taste of village delicacies." Jerry laughed, shaking his head as he drove. "You're right, baby. Village food is always the best. I've been craving it for so long." Then, with a teasing grin, he added, "But you know, I'm sure your cooking isn't that bad either. You just like to pretend you are a terrible cook sometimes." Natasha's playful expression changed instantly. "What do you mean? Are you saying I don't cook well?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. Jerry laughed, enjoying the playful banter. "That's a story for another day, honey. I'm not getting into that one." They both laughed, and for a moment it seemed like nothing could go wrong. They were on their way to the village, looking forward to family, food, and the festivities. However, just as they were joking about the journey ahead, a massive truck suddenly appeared in front of them, swerving out of nowhere. Jerry slammed on the brakes, but the truck was too close. In a split second, there was a deafening crash. The car was thrown into a wild spin, the sound of metal screeching against metal filling the air. Natasha screamed as the world around them turned into chaos, and before they could do anything else, everything went black. Meanwhile, Divine was driving, his heart at peace as he sang along to a Christian song, his voice carrying the words with sincerity. "Oh, I love you, Jesus. Please let this journey be a good one for me and my family." He prayed under his breath, his eyes focused on the road. He felt confident in God's protection, his faith unwavering. As Divine drove, the sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the road. But as he approached a bend in the road, he saw a crowd gathered up ahead. People were standing around, some looking at the scene with shock, while others were filming with their phones, eager to capture the moment. Curious and concerned, Divine slowed down as he neared the crowd. He could hear snippets of conversation. "It's a bad one," someone murmured. "I hope they're okay." When he got closer, Divine's heart dropped. His breath caught in his throat as he recognized the car. A familiar sight, the one Jerry had been driving. The vehicle was badly mangled, smoke rising from the wreck. His brother Jerry and his wife Natasha were lying motionless on the road, their bodies twisted in unnatural ways. A chill ran through Divine's body, but his first instinct was to help. Without thinking, he immediately pulled over, jumping out of his car and rushing toward the scene. Panic surged in his chest as he knelt beside Jerry, gently shaking his brother's shoulder. "Jerry, Natasha," he shouted, his voice filled with fear. But there was no response. It was as if time had stopped. Some bystanders were still standing at a distance, watching, but no one seemed to be doing anything to help. They were more interested in filming the tragedy, taking pictures, and posting them online. The indifference of the crowd was overwhelming to Divine, who could feel his pulse racing with anxiety. "Lord, please," Divine whispered, a prayer escaping his lips. "Please don't let them die. I need them. I can't lose them." His hands trembled as he pulled out his phone and dialed emergency services. "Please, you have to hurry. There's been an accident. 2 people are badly hurt," he said urgently into the phone. "Please, get here fast." The ambulance arrived moments later, and paramedics rushed to the scene, immediately starting to work on Jerry and Natasha. Divine stepped back, his hands clasped together, his heart heavy with the weight of the situation, as the paramedics did their best to stabilize them and took them to the hospital. Divine waited anxiously in the hallway of the hospital, pacing back and forth. The sounds of the busy hospital echoed in his ears, but they did little to calm his nerves. He couldn't focus on anything except his brother and his wife, 2 people he cared about deeply, fighting for their lives. "Lord, please," Divine prayed, his voice trembling. "Please don't let my brother and Natasha die. I can't imagine life without them. Please, God, have mercy. I know I don't always understand why things happen, but I trust in you. Please, protect them." Tears welled up in Divine's eyes as he stood in the quiet hallway. The uncertainty of the situation, the fear for the lives of his loved ones, was more than he could bear. He fell to his knees, continuing to pray with every ounce of his being. "Lord, you are the healer. You are the one who can turn situations around. Please let my brother and his wife live. Please, Lord." The minutes felt like hours as Divine waited, hoping for a miracle. Back in the village, Divine's parents were beginning to grow worried. The sun was setting, and Jerry and Natasha still had not arrived. They had tried calling their phones, but there was no answer. Divine had also been unreachable. The more they tried, the more anxious they became. "Why can't we get through to them? Something isn't right," Divine's mother, Amakai, said, pacing back and forth in the sitting room. Her husband, Maxwell, sat in his chair, trying to keep his calm, though he too felt a growing unease. "It's probably just the bad network. They'll be here soon," he reassured her, but even he couldn't shake the knot forming in his stomach. His wife stopped and looked at him, her eyes filled with worry. "But their phones have been off all day, and Divine hasn't answered. What if something has happened to them?" Maxwell, trying to ease her fears, said, "Don't worry, darling, they will be fine. Let's not jump to conclusions. They will arrive safely, I'm sure of it." Still unconvinced, Amaka sighed and walked toward the kitchen. "I will go prepare something for them. They will need to eat when they get here." As Amaka left the room, Maxwell stood up and looked out the window, his thoughts drifting to his sons. He offered a quick prayer, asking God to keep them safe on their journey. Just as he was about to sit back down, the door opened, and Ahmadine, his eldest brother, walked in. Ahmadine was tall, with a commanding presence, but today there was an odd gleam in his eye. He greeted Maxwell with a broad smile, but there was something unsettling about the way he spoke. "Maxwell, my brother, what's happening? Any good news about the boys?" Ahmadine asked, his tone light, but there was a strange edge to it. Maxwell raised an eyebrow, slightly puzzled by the question. "What news are you expecting, Ahmadine?" "The boys are fine. They're just running a bit late." Ahmadine's expression shifted slightly. "Oh, I see," he said, as if he had just been given an answer to a question he hadn't truly asked. "But I do hope they aren't caught up in anything serious. You never know what could happen on the road." Maxwell's eyes narrowed. "What are you implying, Ahmadine?" He had no patience for Ahmadine's insinuations, especially with his son's safety on his mind. Amazon waved a hand dismissively, a sly grin creeping across his face. "Oh, nothing. Just concerned, that's all. I know how the roads can be this time of the year." His voice was dripping with a false sweetness, but Maxwell could sense the undertone of something darker. "I'm sure they'll be fine," Maxwell said firmly, trying to end the conversation. "You need to stop worrying. They will be fine." Ahmadine's smile widened, but there was no warmth in it. "Yes, of course. I'm sure everything will work out just fine." He looked at Maxwell one last time before turning toward the door. "I'll leave you to it. Don't worry, brother. They will be here soon." But as he stepped outside, Ahmadine's grin faded, replaced by a quiet, sinister satisfaction. "Yes, Baba has done it. This Christmas will be mine, and I'll see how my foolish brother and his wife celebrate without their precious sons. Let me see how they face this." His words were barely a whisper, but they carried with them a sense of dark intent. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Divine's heart was heavy with prayer. The doctors had done all they could for Jerry and Natasha, but they were still not out of danger. Divine could not bear the thought of losing his brother and his wife, and his prayers became more fervent. "Lord, please don't take them from me," Divine prayed quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Please spare my brother and Natasha. Have mercy on them and keep them safe. Let them live. Please, Lord." An hour later, the doctor finally walked into the waiting area where Divine had been praying. With a smile, he announced, "Congratulations. We have good news. Your brother and his wife are awake now. They have sustained some injuries, but nothing too serious." Divine's heart leapt with joy. "Thank you, Lord. I knew you would do it. You have done it before, and I trust you will do it again and again," he whispered, overwhelmed with gratitude. "Doctor, can I see them now?" Divine asked, his voice full of anticipation. "Not yet," the doctor replied. "The nurses are still attending to them, but you can see them in a few minutes." Divine nodded eagerly, still feeling the weight of relief lifting off his shoulders. He then called his parents, his hands shaking slightly from the tension of the past few hours. His father, Maxwell, picked up the phone after a few rings. "Where have you and your brother been?" Maxwell's voice sounded anxious. "Your mother and I have been so worried. We couldn't even eat, Divine. Why didn't you answer your phone? Divine took a deep breath, his heart racing again. Dad, I'm so sorry. There's been an accident. Jerry and Natasha were in a crash, but they're alive. They have just been through a lot, but they are going to be okay. The doctor said they have minor injuries. Maxwell's voice trembled with shock. An accident? Oh my God. Divine, we didn't know. What happened? How are they? Divine reassured him. It's all okay now, Dad. They're both awake. The doctor said the injuries are not serious. I'm at the hospital with them. Don't worry, they're safe. Maxwell let out a long sigh of relief. Oh Jesus, thank you Lord. We've been praying non-stop. We had no idea what had happened. I knew God would watch over you all. Amaka, hearing her husband's side of the conversation, began to praise God loudly in the background. Praise you, Jesus. You have protected our family. Thank you for answering our prayers. Divine smiled at his mother's praise, knowing she had been praying fervently as well. Yes, Mom. God has been so good. He's protecting us all. As the conversation ended, Divine could hear the joy in his parents' voices, their worry finally easing. Meanwhile, back in the village, the news of the accident had spread like wildfire. However, as was often the case in the village, rumors were quickly spun. One villager, a man named Amika, who had always harbored resentment towards Maxwell's family, said loudly to anyone who would listen, "Now I see it. These boys are using ritual money. Our gods have punished them for their evil ways. It's their downfall." Another villager, Nkechi, chimed in, "No wonder they've been so selfish. They never helped the youth in the village, always about their city life and their business. Their punishment is finally here." But before any more gossip could spread, an elder named Okoro overheard the conversation. He walked over and shook his head. "Why are you so eager for their downfall? Why do you speak so ill of them?" He turned to Amika and the others, his voice stern. "Maxwell's family has helped so many of you. They've paid debts for people, sent kids to school, helped you with hospital bills, and taken our youth to the city for better opportunities. And now you're quick to condemn them without knowing the truth." The gossipers fell silent, their faces turning red with shame. Okoro continued, "I've seen it all. Maxwell's family has always been kind, even when some of you treated them with jealousy. Stop spreading lies. It's easy to fall into negativity, but you can't ignore all the good they've done for this village." Emeka, feeling exposed, lowered his head. "You're right, Okoro. We've been wrong. I'm ashamed of myself." The others around him murmured in agreement, realizing their mistake. Okoro nodded once more. "Good. It's time to stop tearing people down and start being thankful for those who have helped." The crowd dispersed, their attitudes shifting, and the gossipers walked away, humbled by Okoro's wise words. Amadine, hearing the false rumors about the Maxwell family's supposed death, rushed to his brother's house, eager to see the outcome of what he believed was his victory. With a smile on his face, he stood at the door and said, "Oh, sorry for your loss, Maxwell." Maxwell, who was sitting in his living room, looked up in confusion. "What loss are you talking about?" he asked, his voice tense. Amadine, pretending to be sorrowful, replied, "I heard that Jerry, Natasha, and Divine were involved in an accident, and they didn't make it. I'm so sorry for your loss." Maxwell's face went pale as he stood up in shock. His heart skipped a beat, but before he could process what Amadine was saying, the news felt like a punch to the gut. "Jesus Christ," he shouted, his voice rising in anger, "it is your useless, lazy sons that will die. You are so foolish, brother. Your wicked plans have failed. My God has put you all to shame, Amadine. My children are coming to the village this Sunday for Thanksgiving. Now leave, you son of a devil." Amadine stood there, stunned by Maxwell's response. He was used to controlling the narrative, to manipulating people's emotions, but today was different. Maxwell was not the man he expected. The anger bubbling inside him started to rise. "I've had enough," Amadine muttered under his breath as he turned to leave. But as he walked out of the door, his mind was already plotting his next move. Once outside, Amadine's anger boiled over. He clenched his fists tightly, his thoughts racing. "I must go and meet Baba. He has to explain why things went wrong. How could Maxwell's family survive? They should have been punished for turning their back on us. My sons had great potential, and they were on the right path. Until Maxwell came and ruined everything." Amadine's hands trembled as his frustration deepened. Now that they are coming for Thanksgiving in the village, I'll make sure they don't leave here alive. I will make Maxwell suffer for refusing to help my sons. Yes, he helped them with business before, but they made a mistake. Why can't he just help again? He thinks he's too good for us now. I will make him regret that decision. His eyes narrowed as he marched down the road, already planning what he would do next. There was no turning back. At the hospital, Divine walked into Jerry's room. His brother was lying on the bed, still weak but awake. When Jerry saw him, he smiled. "Thank you, bro," Jerry said, his voice soft but full of gratitude. "If it wasn't for you, we would be gone. We owe you everything." Divine smiled back but had something on his mind. "Jerry," he said, "I've been thinking about something. Do you know that the eggs Natasha put in the trunk of the car didn't break?" Jerry looked at him in shock. "What? Are you serious? The eggs didn't break?" Divine nodded. "Yes, because you asked God to be in the trunk with the eggs, remember? You told him he could stay there. That's why the eggs didn't break. You see now why I always say prayer is the key?" Jerry stared at Divine, surprised. "I never thought of it like that. Maybe I need to start listening to you more." Divine smiled. "God works in ways we don't always understand, but he is always there when we need him." After a little while, Divine went to see Natasha. She was still in pain, but smiled when she saw him. "Divine," she whispered, with tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry for everything. I have hurt you, and I can never take it back. I'm sorry." Divine sat down beside her and held her hand gently. "You don't need to say sorry, Natasha. What matters is that you're alive. We'll move forward together. You are family." Natasha squeezed his hand. "Thank you, Divine. I don't deserve your kindness, but I'm so grateful." Divine smiled at her. "We all make mistakes, but that doesn't mean we stop being a family. We learn, we grow, and we forgive." As Divine left the hospital, he felt a peace in his heart. It wasn't easy, but he knew that with God's help and the strength of their family, they could face anything. He looked forward to their Thanksgiving at the village church on Sunday. "I can't wait for our Thanksgiving in the village church on Sunday," Divine thought, knowing that it would be a time for healing and joy. Together they would celebrate life, faith, and family. Dear amazing viewers, did you enjoy this story? Would you like to see part 2? If so, please leave a continue comment down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you'll be the first to know when we upload the exciting conclusion. Thank you for watching, and stay blessed.